Hello, everybody. My name is Jeff Bozanic. I've been a fellow of the club since 1988, although I don't get here very often, so it's really special for me to be in the clubhouse. This is only the third time I've been in the clubhouse since I became a member. So I really, really appreciate like being here because it makes me feel like I'm part of the history of the club. You know, putting together an expedition is never an easy task. And some go better than others. This expedition I first dreamed of about 20 years ago when I passed by on my way to Antarctica on one of my previous research trips. A little tiny group of islets in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean called shag rocks. These are a group of rocks that are tiny, tiny, tiny that stick up in the middle of the ocean, and the nearest land next to them is 140 miles away, South George Island. For 20 years, I've been dreaming of going to this place because to me, when I looked at those islands, I thought Galapagos. I thought speciation. I thought lots of endemic species. Here's an opportunity to go find stuff. And these rocks had never been sampled scientifically. There had been one dredge done at 100 meters and one dredge done at 200 meters, and that's all the scientific work that had been done there. So I'm a diver, and for 45 years I've been doing scientific diving in a wide variety of environments, including running the dive operations for the U.S. Antarctic program at McMurdo Station. So I looked at these islands and I said, I want to go back there. I want to go see it. And finally, 3 years ago, I started to plan a real expedition to go there. And it took 3 years of planning to find a vessel, get the permits, get the work done, come up with the objectives. And the problems started almost immediately. The biggest problem I had, I thought the biggest problem I had, was financing. 90 days before we were set to sail, I was still $500,000 short of being able to pay for the vessel. And I've got to say that Nancy McGee, who's the vice president of chapters for the club, and most of the chapter chairs from all of the different chairs across the country and across the planet, stepped forward and really helped me publicize the need for financing, the need to get more people involved. And so I really want to thank them for their contribution. "60 days later, it's now 30 days before we're leaving on the expedition. I still hadn't received permits from 3 of the 4 government agencies that I needed. Permit applications that I'd submitted on August 1st. Well, let me just pick one of those. I call the government agency, I call, I email. Of course, this is going on over Christmas time because we're leaving in February, and I started trying to get a hold of them again in early December. Nobody's answering my emails, nobody's answering my calls. I finally get someone who says, oh, we'll review it right away. 2 weeks later, I get a review back that says, oh, you applied for the wrong level of permit. You need a level 2 permit, not a level 1 permit. So here's what you need to do to fix that, the additional paperwork. And by the way, you must turn this in 90 days before you depart and start your work. So here I thought my biggest problem was funding 90 days before the trip, and now I'm 30 days out and I don't have a permit to do the work I want to do. We get that ironed out. I have 93 people on the team going down to Antarctica. We fly from the United States, we fly from Britain, we fly from Canada, we fly from Germany. We get down to Ushuaia, traveling through Buenos Aires. You've heard about that going on. I step off the plane and I get a text message. Call immediately. So I call the company I chartered the vessel through, and the message was, we've canceled your charter. The boat is broken. So 20 years of dreaming, 3 years of planning, 6 months of panicking, and I have no boat, and I have 93 people in South America that I don't know what to do with. And this is a self-funded expedition, so each one of those 93 people paid for themselves to be there. This is not like we had grant money and just like, oh, I'll just go home. And after my first 5 minutes where I just melted down into a little puddle in the corner of the airport when I got the news, I said, well, look on the bright side. I didn't watch the boat get crushed by ice and sink underneath my feet. And so that started a brief but frantic planning session to try to find an alternate expedition to be able to continue what we were going to do. And 2 sleepless nights later, I had found a vessel, room for originally 30 and expanded to 40 people that I could take, which meant that I had to send 50 people back to the United States. That was not a comfortable decision or process. But we then continued on the expedition to be able to get more scientific work done. And in fact, after we actually got on the vessel and went through all the process of weeding people out and selection of a new team and selection of a new set of scientific objectives, because we were no longer going to Shad Rocks, we were now going just to the Antarctic Peninsula. We ended up going down to Lazarus Bay, where the Wilkins ice shelf had collapsed in 2008, and it was finally getting clear enough for vessels to be able to get in and do scientific work or any kind of work. And we had a team of scientists on the cruise that were fabulous. We had 11 Explorers Club members aboard, in addition to other students, scouts, and other people that were there for ecotourism purposes. And I'm just going to go briefly a little bit about the work that we accomplished. And I'm going to grab my notes because I'm old and
30 seconds though.
30 seconds? Well, you didn't tell me that.
I've been waving at you for the past 2 minutes.
I always see this light in front of me.
I know.
Okay, quickly then. Tanya Pineda, Natural History Museum of Los Angeles. We collected and she sorted and preserved 1,500 specimens, benthic animals we collected underwater, several of which we believe are new species. David Marsh used low Earth orbiting satellites to be able to improve navigational positioning in polar regions. Adarsh Verghese used a weak signal propagation radio methodology, used 200 milliwatts of power and was able to send signals to North America and Europe from where we were in Antarctica. Susan Koplis, here in the front row, ran a variety of citizen science programs with everybody on the boat, not just the people that we brought, but the other people on the vessel as well. Victoria Fulfer and John Aaron Bozanic, my son, worked on microplastics work on 2 different projects. He's with Five Gyres Institute. My son is doing his senior thesis in University of Montana. And then we had 6 scouts with us who also participated in all of the scientific work we did. And Mariano Lord, who's a new fellow with the club, who's doing a documentary on the trip as well. And so this trip was, once we got underway, the trip was fabulously successful. And Lewis has a brief little video he's going to show.
We are unfortunately waiting. All right.
Last thing. Thank you. I want to invite you guys to realize that there is a huge tradition and history associated with these flags, and I am supremely honored to be able to carry one. What caught my attention in this corner is Explorers Club flag number 20 that was carried by Captain Wilkins when we discovered the Wilkins ice shelf that we did the biological collecting after it collapsed just a few years ago. And so just in this room, between that flag and this flag, his expedition and our expedition, there's a history there that is concretely tying us together. And that's one of the things I love about these flags is that we all tie ourselves together with our love of exploration and dedication.
Next, we have an